Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, Scribbles to Sketches. In this video, we are going to be talking about classroom layout and how I plan on modifying my classroom layout this next school year to give students more choice and autonomy in their art making. Last month, I had to pack up my entire classroom and storage closet because my school is getting new floors this summer. Well, this was a ton of work, and I am not looking forward to unpacking it all in a couple of months. This does give me a unique opportunity to change where things are located throughout my room, so that way I can make my classroom more choice-based. An area that I would like to focus on for incorporating more choice into my room is where all of my art supplies are located throughout my room. So I want to think about where or how I'm separating specific supplies, and I'm also planning on, instead of labeling my tables as colors, making them more center-based. A lot of choice-based art rooms are set up in centers, and I'm going to talk a little bit about what that might look like for me. Let's start by taking a look at my current classroom layout. Here I have a map of my room that shows where all the furniture is located at the moment. Now, my room is kind of small and there's not a whole lot of room where I can move the furniture around, so I'm actually planning on keeping everything where it is right now. Next to my door, I have this huge storage closet, which is absolutely amazing. It's where I keep most of my supplies. I'm excited to reorganize that this fall. Walking into my room, you can see that I have 6 different tables. So I have these tables labeled by colors. On the other side of my room, by the windows, this is where I keep a lot of my big furniture, like my drying rack, my paper cutter, and I also have a large cart over there where I typically store all of the resources that I need for the day. At the front of my room, I do have a whiteboard that spans across most of the front of my room, and my school also has smart panels that are on wheels. So essentially you could move these smart panels around the room if you want. However, there's not a lot of room to do this because you do need to have them connected with a cord to your computer. So I'm not a huge fan of the smart panels because they do take up a lot of room. And that being said, it's kind of stuck where it is. One method of teaching that I am looking at trying is called 20% Genius Hour. In this teaching model, teachers still give students projects that they determine ahead of time, but then you give students 20% of class time to work on their own projects of their choosing. I like this model because it's similar to what I'm currently doing with discipline-based art education, and it still gives students more opportunities for choice throughout class time. Another method I might try that takes choice a step further is the Waldorf-Reggio model of teaching. In this teaching model, teachers do not plan projects ahead of time. Instead, the teacher observes what students' interests are and gives them materials and opportunities to make projects based on those interests. For example, if you notice a lot of students doing origami, maybe you set up a center or a pop-up center based on origami. So you could provide them with square pieces of paper, scissors, glue sticks, etc. And you could teach, or you can leave this station open for a couple weeks, a month, or even the entire year if you find that you have a lot of student interest in that topic. Here you can see a layout of what I am proposing for my classroom this fall. So instead of having my tables set up in colors, I would instead have them be related to specific centers. So I have a fiber center, sculpture center, drawing center, painting center, printmaking center, and collage center at the moment. Now, in creating these centers, I was thinking about where I could put my supplies related to those centers throughout my room. So if we look at the bottom right-hand corner, these would be all the supplies related to my fiber center. Previously, I had a bunch of milk crates stacked up in my storage closet, and what I'm planning on doing is taking those milk crates out of the closet and putting them against this wall in my classroom. So this would store all of these sculpture supplies such as cardboard, glue bottles, hot glue guns, etc. Maybe even some blocks. We could incorporate some architecture in there too, because I know I have a ton of students who love playing with the blocks. So the crates would give me a lot of storage for that specific center. In the back of the room, I have my painting center. I chose this table for the painting center because it's located between the sinks and the drying rack. Now, unfortunately, my drying rack's pretty big and I can't really move it to another place in my room. So it took a little bit of brainstorming for how I can make this painting center work. But as you can see, I have these arrows that designate a traffic pattern for how students could get to the sinks and the back counter to get their painting supplies and also bring their artwork to the drying rack when they're done. Now, my painting center is also sort of linked with the printmaking center because you need a lot of the same materials for those two centers. So that's why I put them right next to each other. And the traffic flow kind of goes between those two tables. Now, in the front of the room, this is where I'm putting my collage center. And the reason I chose this to be closest to my teacher desk is so that I can monitor how much paper students are taking and making sure that they're cleaning up their area at the end of class. So I have this cart next to my teacher desk where this paper icon is, and I'm planning on storing all of my big sheets of paper or the background paper on this cart. And then along my windows by the vent, this is where I would include some smaller boxes of paper, paper strips, and smaller pieces that they could cut shapes out of. Now, under the cart where I'm storing the big paper, this is where I would keep my recycle bin and trash bin so that students would not need to carry their paper scraps all the way across the room like they did last year, because that just ends up leaving a big trail of paper all around my room. So I am definitely moving my recycle bin this next year to put it right next to the collage center. At the front of my room, right behind my teacher desk, I do have a smaller shelf, and this is where I'm thinking of putting all of my drawing supplies. Next to my teacher desk is one of my absolute favorite teaching tools, and that is my rolling cart. I have a 3-tier rolling cart from Michaels, and I call it the art cart. And my students know that this is where I keep all of my general art supplies, things like pencils, erasers, scissors, glue sticks, things that they would find in their general classroom. So I like the idea of keeping these general supplies on a rolling cart that can be moved throughout the room because my students already know that this is where I keep these supplies. This would maintain some consistency and students would be familiar already with how the art cart works. So I plan on keeping this the same this upcoming school year. In looking at this classroom map, you may notice that I have my supplies evenly spaced throughout my classroom, and all the supplies are located on the outer perimeter. My thought process with this is I want to be able to hang things like anchor charts and posters on the walls so that students can get information easily for how to get started in that center. And in this way, they won't necessarily need to come to me to get started on their artwork. I recently read an article from the Art of Education University called How to Get Your Choice-Based Room Ready for the School Year. This article was written by Juanita Harmon, and she explains how when you give students the opportunity to develop their own projects, it's important to, quote, empower your students with the resources they need to help them take their learning into their own hands, end quote. So you can notice that in this map of my classroom, I paid attention to where I was putting my supplies throughout my room, and I put them all around the perimeter of my classroom. This is so that I can hang anchor charts and posters on the walls by those centers to give students the information they need to get started working on their own. A challenge that I am still trying to figure out a solution to is how I can erase that line between where the teacher stands and where the students sit. In most traditional classrooms, there is a clear boundary between the teacher and the students. And in thinking about a choice-based classroom, I really want to feel more like a facilitator of knowledge instead of the person who has all the knowledge and is giving that to the students. I don't want them to feel like I know everything because I don't. Thank you all for watching this video. I hope you got some ideas on how you can lay out your classroom to give your students more choice this next school year. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to find more videos from me in the future.